All right, here's a story from NBC News. Body cam video shows moments police encountered Trump's would-be assassin. Officer saying he warned Secret Service. This is that's the crazy bit about this. New body camera footage, video released Thursday by Butler Township from the day a man attempted to assassinate former President Trump shows the moment police encountered the shooter before he opened fire on the Pennsylvania crowd, and includes a police officer saying he warned the Secret Service about the building vulnerability. In one of the videos, a Butler Township officer is being hoisted onto the roof of a building near the July 13th rally minutes before Trump was set to speak. The officer appears to peek his head over the roof before quickly dropping to the ground and running to a nearby police vehicle. The video shows the shooter cannot be seen in this angle of the body cam video, and there is no audio. So I'd like to I'm going to read this as well. Later in the video, the officer appears to confirm the encounter, saying, "F, this close, dude. He turned right around on me." Did you notice what they said in NBC News? They said minutes before Trump was set to speak. So hold on there a minute. This officer saw a guy on a rooftop with a gun who pointed at him before Trump even got on stage, and no one stopped Trump from getting on stage.
They may have the timeline wrong. It is NBC.
Fair point. Fair point. They are a fake news organization. Well, let's just say this. With NBC News' credibility on the line, they have reported that before Trump was set to speak, this officer encountered the man with the gun on the rooftop.
Here's why I say that's not true. Because if you watch the video, the first 2 minutes, like a lot of body cam, it's silent, right? So it's just the video, but there's no audio. You don't get to hear it. But as the audio goes live,
you hear Trump.
Trump is not speaking anymore. They're scrambling, and the shooter's already down. So in that 2 minute window, Trump was already speaking. He had to be. So I'm going to call this NBC.
Oh, NBC News, fake news. That's a bad fake news right there. That's serious.
That's just lazy editing. We don't hire editors anymore.
Yeah. Well, what I will say is they warned the Secret Service well in advance.
Yeah, that's true.
We know that. So the question then is, wow, as more and more information gets released, we are left with one of the most perplexing scenarios where the only official story we have is, for some reason, the Secret Service did not do their job. Mm-hmm. Now, some might argue that it was all just pure incompetence. But that seems strange to me that there could be so much of it. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the government's relatively incompetent in quite a bit. But when people are screaming, he's got a gun on the roof, it's a bit more than incompetence. When the Secret Service doesn't come to their come to the security briefing, when they know that this guy snuck in, when they see him 3 hours in advance with a rangefinder, 1 hour in advance, once again lurking around with a rangefinder, where did the gun come from? Where was he? How was he carrying it? How was he able to bypass all of this security? The idea that it was pure incompetence is, you know, you can't call it a conspiracy theory in the literal sense, but in the figurative sense, it's a conspiracy theory. And I'll clarify this. People like to say that if you believe the Earth is flat, you're a conspiracy theorist. There's no flat Earth conspiracy. Like, two guys didn't get together to conspire to make the world flat. So conspiracy.
I got people telling me that it's a lot of guys. All the world governments have conspired to flatten out the Earth.
Now, if you want to argue that NASA is lying about the Earth or whatever,
I heard that one.
There's your conspiracy theory. Yeah. But when you believe that, like, the Earth is hollow and there's dinosaurs living under it, that's just crazy. That's not a conspiracy. So what I'm saying is, if we want to use conspiracy theorist in the sense, the way the media does, that anybody who challenges official narratives or whatever, then if you believe this was incompetence, you're a conspiracy theorist. First and foremost, there is no official story. We don't know where he got the gun, how he got it up there. They're saying maybe it was collapsible or something. Maybe he got it from his dad. There's conflicting stories about whether he climbed an air conditioner or there was a ladder. We have not received an official narrative, an official story of who this guy is, what his motivation was, why he was there, how he bypassed security, why security wasn't doing their job, why Secret Service didn't pull Trump from the stage. None of it adds up. So the only thing you can do is guess.
That's what I hate. I also hate that there was so little accountability from the Secret Service. If you guys remember, I reference this all the time, but Kim Cheadle didn't do an official press conference. She didn't make a formal statement. She did an ABC interview in which she was
working on the sloped roof situation. She had to work out whether that was going to pull well.
Well, she said, you know, the buck stops with me and the Secret Service is in charge. But actually, local police was in charge of that video. I mean, she tried to throw them under the bus immediately and shift the narrative away from her while also simultaneously trying to say, I'm the head of this organization and the buck stops with me. I think, obviously, it's intentional that we have no information here. And I think that is just going to further harm American public trust, not just in the institutions, but also in other people.
This cop in the body camera footage even says, how the hell could you lose a guy walking over here? He says he told the Secret Service 4 days in advance to post someone up there. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. So this goes back even before the rally. Secret Service was informed they needed a guy on the roof. Didn't do it. They were supposed to have a security briefing. Didn't go. They saw the guy sneak in. Didn't care. 3 hours in advance, spotted a guy with a rangefinder. So what? An hour? So what? 26 minutes? So what? 10 minutes? So what? At 2 minutes, they're screaming he's got a gun. So what? In this video, the guy's saying that, where's the other quote? He's saying, let me read this quotes. In the video, he jumps down and he says, F this. He then runs to his radio. Before you MFer came out here, I put my head up like an effing idiot by myself, dude. I was calling out, bro, on top of the roof. Bro, were you on the same frequency? The SWAT team member said he was pissed that he couldn't find him. So you have a police officer. They say in another clip released Thursday, an unidentified Butler Township officer said about 10 minutes after Trump was shot that he told the Secret Service about the building's vulnerability days before the rally. So this guy sees the guy on the roof and yells on the radio, they don't pull Trump off the stage. So now not only do we have regular people screaming he's on the roof, he's got a gun, and Secret Service does nothing. You've got a cop saying he was calling on the radio, he's on the roof, bro, on the roof. They did nothing. I'm sorry, the only thing I can say is I don't intend to go out and buy a Mega Millions ticket right now because the amount of incompetency for it to be an accident would be the stars aligning perfectly, and I might as well just go win $1 billion. No, I think it was intentional because you got to look at the simple solution. Did every accident in the world happen? Did every person stationed here at the Secret Service just have like an IQ of 70? Or were they intentionally ignoring what was going on?
I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I think there were just so many levels of incompetencies that overlapped with one another. Tim mentioned a few. It was this poor communication between the local law enforcement team in Butler and the Secret Service, not knowing who was going to secure the roof of this building.
What do you mean? The cops said they warned Secret Service to do it. What do you mean there's miscommunication? Well, why are you making that up?
No, the miscommunication was between the Secret Service who told the local PD that they should cover the roof, right?
A police officer said 4 days before he instructed the Secret Service to station guys on that roof. That's the story we have right now. We can assume he's lying or we can assume it's the truth. I think the safe bet we can make right now is this is body camera footage from that day, right when they saw the shooter, before he took the shot. The guy is saying, I told them 4 days ago. So I don't care about anything Kim Cheel said after the fact. This is a cop saying they were told to get a guy on the roof. Why didn't they do it?
Well, you see some of why.
There's no poor communication.
You actually do see some of why. And there actually is poor communication in that video. So I'll break this down. I've worked with Secret Service. I was at Trump's inauguration in 2017. I've been in plainclothes. I've worked with Uniform Division in plainclothes and also when they're in uniform. So I've been at multiple State of the Unions. We've done a bunch of operations. My team was surveillance. So we would be on the ground, walking around. The thing that people thought that was going on January 6th or what would be the right thing for them to do, which is to basically look for people that are dropping backpacks behind a tree and leaving explosives. We would do the thing like trying to protect First Amendment civil liberties. What I saw in that clip, which I think is very salient. Number one, the guy goes up, right? He puts his head over the top of the edge. He looks over, supposedly sees the gunman. I'll believe that. The body cam doesn't show it, but there's no reason to think otherwise. Falls back down. What does he do? He sprints back to his patrol cruiser and he gets a rifle. And he's so rattled that he's not even able to get the magazine into the rifle. I watched this a couple of times, but he's totally rattled. But here's the thing. He ran from the one place where he knew where the guy was, and he went to go get a rifle, which is a thing means that he was not paying attention. He could have just laid there and covered the roof and then been there vectoring in a SWAT team. That would be a totally heads-up move. That didn't happen. And what we've also heard is that the Secret Service, and this is the most probable thing that I've ever heard, didn't use the local PD's radios. When you work on a federal system, especially if you're traveling, because I used to do this for a living, I've been to 20 different field offices working out of other places. We never got local patrol radios. Why? It's the dumbest reason you can imagine, Tim. It's because nobody wants to take responsibility for the radio and then give it back to the other guy. So they don't take the radio. I've seen the least competency when it comes to functioning on a radio. So the comm situation, it makes sense that they're calling in, they're screaming it across the TAC channel that's supposed to be going to Secret Service, and at best it's going into a relay station in a trailer somewhere and not getting out to those agents. So the delayed response, it does make sense in that case. I also agree with you that the number of screw-ups that have to happen defy credulity at every every single level, because there are so many of them. The advanced team has to screw up. The guy in the day decides, oh, I'm going to go take a pee. It's too hot here on the roof. I might as well sit inside. I'm going to leave this thing open. The kid somehow gets a rifle up there. He's flying the drone. There's a million screw ups there.
How did we get from they spotted him with a rangefinder and then he had a gun?
Yeah, and he had a backpack. And then here's the other thing. So the deputy assistant director...
You had to dismantle and put the weapon together on the roof? Is that,
well, you could do that. That's not that hard. So,
no, I know. I'm just saying they haven't given us an official story.
The story that we heard from Paul Abate, who's the deputy director of the FBI. So he's the number 2. First of all, Chris Wray came in and said one thing, and he was trying to push this like collapsible stock thing. And you can tell that Chris Wray doesn't know anything about guns because he talks about, he's like, I don't know the difference between a rate of a semi-automatic and a
stock moves only like 4 inches, doesn't it?
Correct. Now, the possibility is that he's got something like a law tactable folding adapter. So you can actually fold that sucker down, and then you can actually knock off 12 inches. But are you telling me that a kid took a 16-inch barrel plus the entire upper, which is still, it's 24 inches, it's 28 inches long, and that was concealable? I've seen one guy. I followed one terrorist subject in my 3 years of doing that for full time. I followed one terrorist subject who could carry an AR-15, and he was
How did he do it?
He was 6'8" and 350 pounds, so he looked like a WWE superhero, and he could put it underneath the jacket and not look crazy. That's the only person I've ever seen do that. You're not, and that kid was skinny, right? Crooks?
Yeah, there's.
He's not concealing an AR-15 under any certain, not even in a backpack.
Let's play some of this footage. We have it here from NBC.
This is the video I'm talking about, showing a Butler Township, Pennsylvania police officer climbing up on the roof before immediately dropping back down, potentially because there was concern that the shooter could turn his rifle on the officer. There's no audio from that moment, but some video later captures the officer's immediate reaction to what he saw. Listen to this.
This close, bro. Dude, he turned around on me. Seriously, he was right where you picked me up, bro. He was on that left side.
Now remember, the suspect, the shooter, was able to get several shots off in the moments after that officer climbed the roof, hurting the former president and killing a bystander.
Here's what I think too.
FBI said 8, by the way. So
planned incompetence would be intentionally setting it up so that local law enforcement and Secret Service can't communicate. So if the cops find something, Secret Service doesn't respond. Mm-hmm. It could be instructing Secret Service they don't need to attend the morning security briefing. It could be intentionally not placing someone on that roof. However, the question that remains, this guy, how was he allowed in every step of the way to bypass security? And this could all be explained by a single individual at a logistical level. You get a Secret Service guy calling the hey, I see a weird guy with a rangefinder. And then the boss goes, nah, we're taking care of that. You're good. They go, okay. And then they disregard. You get a team of people and you say, here's how we're securing the event. Don't worry, we'll give you your assignments. And then you intentionally don't assign someone to the roof. All the other guys, all they know is, hey, I'm covering this roof. I'm covering that roof. They assume someone must be doing the other job. It still would imply someone in an official capacity was pulling the strings to make the incompetence happen.
Yeah, or they were lazy. And so there's this thing my buddies and I talk about, the myth of competence. Everybody likes to imagine that there's just this like high-speed crew of people. It's so often not that. Here's some of the fog of war stuff that people have to put in, because some of the incompetency can be explained even though it's horrific. We saw some of it in that body cam footage, which they didn't show, which is the guys running. They actually put a couple of pallets up on a little overhang. And so they boosted a couple of SWAT guys up. They're all wearing multicam. Then they've got pallets and they're trying to get to the next tier of the roof and they're screaming for a ladder and all these things are just, they get mixed up in that fog of war. The other thing that I can see happening is, apparently there were 2 sniper teams that were up there that were Secret Service. One was sort of like a B team, if you will, or a C team, and they're using bolt action Remington 700s. So that's not what the A team used. The A team uses like an SR-25, like a Knight's Armament, like higher end weapon system. And so they have semi-automatic capabilities, and they can shoot that far out with a 308. So the problem is, what I saw in the video, everyone thought it was like one dude who was taking the shot, and they're like, look, there he is taking the kill shot or whatever, and they show the rifle moving. He breaks contact with the glass and all this other kind of stuff, and that poor guy is probably going to get lambasted about this forever. But it looks like he broke contact because he flinched, because he wasn't prepared. He saw shots coming in, and he thought it was coming at him.
Right.
That was the nearest sniper. The further snipers are the ones that took the shot. I can imagine that you're sitting there looking at a roof where someone is supposed to be, because there was someone supposed to be there for all the things that we've heard. They weren't there, but there was supposed to be someone. And imagine that you're a cop or you're a Secret Service uniform division guy, and you're on the gun, and you pan over, and there's a dude in a place where a dude is supposed to be, and the dude has a gun, and there's supposed to be a guy with a gun there, but he's wearing shorts, and he's got long hair and weird glasses, and you're like, is that Mike? Is that like, who the hell is that? Right. And then you don't have comms with whoever the local sniper team that's supposed to be putting the guy up there or whatever it looks like. And you have that moment of hesitation. And that guy at the same time has the same problem of the cop coming up. There can be a carnival of errors, like the symphony of things that line up. I do agree that there is some incompetence, whether it's intentional or just absolutely reckless. I don't want to speculate on it yet, but I will tell you this. the single worst trainee that any of you can imagine. Just get on your imagination hats and think of the worst person that you would ever put through the FBI Academy. She was in my class at Quantico. She was under 5 feet tall. And nothing against short women. My wife is under 5 feet tall. But like this woman was like wrestling with a toddler. She failed every single academic exercise. There were things that were non-failable. They let her go to the last 4 weeks. And she was removed from the academy for failing to do everything, okay? Doing crazy stuff and saying crazy things. They removed her. She went back up to the FBI's field office in New York. Do you know what she does now?
Secret Service.
Correct. She was sent to FLETC, and they were able to rehire her. So they're hiring some people that have absolutely no business in being there, and we saw some.
And I will say this too. I know somebody who's a very smart person, but they have no experience with guns. And we went to a range, and I would make the assumption, based on just understanding the mechanisms of a gun by looking at it, that a reasonably smart person would not do this.
Oh, she got the slide?
And then... And it was actually scary because
it's a good way to get hurt.
She put her hand over the gun like this and held for about a second, 2 seconds, and then that's when I noticed and screamed, and then she took her hands pointed down, and I was like, holy crap.
So this gal that we're talking about, she didn't hold on to a shotgun while sending buckshot down. It just went up in the air. And, you know, I almost watched one of my buddies catch buckshot in the side of the head because they're standing on a common firing line. That assumes that you're going to be pointing in a safe direction, not letting it go like this. It took her 15 minutes to do a 2-minute driving course. So these kind of people, if you're going to take them in, and it just turns out that she was a military veteran, even though she was the weakest one I've ever seen. She was a Hispanic female. So you have 3 things that they are checking in these boxes. And if you are going for these types of what we would call diversity hires or whatever you want to call it, when that person is getting hired on and they're making every excuse, there is more flexibility for screw-ups than you would ever imagine. It does defy credulity, but still, they're out there.
I realize that some people are just listening and didn't explain. What I was describing is holding the gun by putting your left hand over where the slide is, and if you pull the trigger, that's going to... Well, it's probably going to rip your thumb back, break it, or...
Yeah, a lot of people have what they call slide bite, so they get their hand too high up on it, and competitive shooters get it, but if you're screwing it up, then yeah, you lose pieces of skin. Well,
I think if you put your hand over the slide and pull the trigger...
you might break a finger, or
break your thumb or something.
Metacarpals or something.
But this is just from people who don't have the experience. Now, if these are the kind of people who are going to be brought in, and they're just standing around...
30% of my class when I went through in 2016 had never held a firearm before. Now, I'm 35 at the time, so I'm a little bit older, but like I feel like if you sign up to be an FBI agent, you maybe have gone to a range once just to check it out.
I do believe that this country is facing a managerial crisis, and it has a large component is COVID, with all the mass retirements that happened. A lot of people who weren't prepared to take the next step or the next role, they shouldn't be there. What is this called? Is it the Peter principle? Mm-hmm. That when people get promoted into position?
Yeah, there's a mean way of saying it, but essentially you're promoted to the level of your incompetence.
Right. You're really good in the mailroom, so you get a promotion to,
look, they do this in
some other office you can't handle.
This is the thing that happens in law enforcement in general. Nobody can tell me that the best patrol officer on the street, that is the best at stopping drunk drivers and handles people efficiently and drives safely, is also going to be the best detective. There's probably some overlap in that skill set. But just because you did a great job on the street on patrol does not mean that you're great investigators, and vice versa. There are some investigators that are brilliant, but they should never leave the office because they're morons when they go talk to people. And I work with those folks. It's like, don't let them talk to human beings. They're weird.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you all there.